President Trump gets a huge Supreme Court ruling in his favor. It's perfectly in line with what MAGA voters want and the efforts of DOJ. Trump's national security advisor from the first term, John Bolton, has his home raided by the FBI at 7 a.m. to find classified documents stolen and used to publish his latest book. Citizens of Washington, D.C. are so happy with crime dropping and the safety provided by President Trump that now President Trump is saying it's time to go into Chicago. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. There's a lot to get through, so let's jump right in. The Congressional Budget Office released that President Trump's tariffs could pay down $4 trillion of national debt over the next 10 years. So the Congressional Budget Office put out a new report saying, based on all of the tariff money that President Donald J. Trump is bringing in, that it will actually start paying down the national debt for the first time in I don't even know how long. The real question is, will Congress actually do that? Trump is bringing in hundreds of billions of dollars, and it's supposed to go towards paying down the national debt. However, Congress is famous for falling into old patterns and finding a million new ways to waste money. Former National Security Advisor and Trump critic John Bolton had his Maryland home raided at 7 a.m. with a court-approved search warrant for classified documents after it came out that he had them and that they showed up in his latest book. President Trump said John Bolton is a lowlife, but he was not personally briefed on the 7 a.m. raid and did not know about it until this morning. This was entirely the FBI and the DOJ working together to go get these classified documents. Now, I think that this is a big deal. This is something that unfortunately happens on a pretty regular basis, especially if somebody is trying to get a book. Let me go ahead and show you some footage from that, and then we'll react to it together.
Realize this, but there was a probe going on when President Trump was in office last time because John Bolton wrote a book and he violated his NDA, the president said, in doing it. And he felt as though there were classified information in that book. The probe dropped when Joe Biden became president. So is this picking up where that left off, David?
It's possible. I don't know with 100% certainty, but it is notable, guys, that John Bolton, Ambassador Bolton's security clearances were stripped earlier this year by President Trump. Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, took that security clearance away. They had concerns. The administration had concerns about Ambassador Bolton still being able to access some of these documents and have some of those security clearances. It's also notable that John Bolton had a security detail as well. Because of the threats from Iran on his life, that security detail, that government federal paid security detail, was also taken away by President Trump. So Bolton was to have to get some private security. So we're looking outside his home right now in Bethesda, Maryland. We're told that Ambassador Bolton's being cooperative. He's not under arrest, not in custody at this point, but still notable, 7 o'clock on a Friday morning, that the FBI all of a sudden is knocking on the door of John Bolton's home. And I also will say it's important that, this is not just the FBI able to do this. A judge has to sign off on this. There are other layers involved here. It's not just the FBI says, let's go to John Bolton's house tomorrow morning and see if he has any classified documents. There are certainly more procedures in there. A judge and others would have had to sign off on this, as well as people at the Justice Department, presumably Attorney General Pam Bondi. No comment right now, though, from the Justice Department. No comment from the FBI as well.
All right. Just like with former President Joe Biden, this stuff ends up showing up in books that are published. They start bragging about having these classified documents, and it's illegal to do that unless they are declassified or you're given permission. That is against the law. So John Bolton, as of right now, is not under arrest. He is cooperating. And President Trump says, I don't like the guy, but I also had nothing to do with this. This had to do with judges, the DOJ, and the FBI. However, at the same time, Vice President JD Vance was set to do an interview, and he decided that he wanted to chime in on John Bolton and the 7 a.m. raid.
We've learned that the FBI is searching the home of former Ambassador John Bolton, his office as well.
Sure.
Can you tell me, why is the FBI raiding Ambassador Bolton's home and office? And did the White House get a heads up?
Well, so we're in the very early stages of an ongoing investigation into John Bolton. I will say we're going to let that investigation proceed. What I can tell you is that unlike the Biden DOJ and the Biden FBI, our law enforcement agencies are going to be driven by law and not by politics. And so if we think that Ambassador Bolton has committed a crime, of course, eventually prosecutions will come. But as you know, Kristen, this is all part of gathering evidence, trying to understand something that we're worried about. And of course, I'll let the FBI comment on the next stage of the investigation.
What's at the root of this? Is this about classified documents?
Well, again, I'll let the FBI speak to that. Classified documents are certainly part of it, but I think that there's a broad concern about Ambassador Bolton. They're going to look into it. And like I said, if there's no crime here, we're not going to prosecute it. If there is a crime here, of course, Ambassador Bolton will get his day in court. That's how it should be. But again, our focus here is on, did he break the law? Did he commit crimes against the American people? If so, then he deserves to be prosecuted.
All right. So again, he is not under arrest as of right now. There is a larger investigation, and a judge, based on evidence presented to them by the DOJ and the FBI, signed off on this warrant to go and basically search through his house and see if there was anything really there. So I'll continue to update you as I have more details on that. All right, now the crime is dropping very, very quickly. I'll tell you more about President Trump giving hamburgers and pizza to law enforcement and park police and the DC police, but he's getting a lot of calls from other cities, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, Seattle, saying, please, we need your help to crack down. President Trump said he's actually tempted to send the National Guard into Chicago right now, just because people are asking for it. Let's go ahead and see what he had to say today from the Oval Office.
We have to. And after we do this, we'll go to another location and we'll make it safe also. We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. And it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one, but they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago. Please. I did great with the black vote, as you know, and they want something to happen. So I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with New York, and we're going to help with, and I think a lot of these people that you see on television, they're including the people in this audience. They'll say bad things about me, and then they'll say, thank God he's here, because half of them got mugged.
So that's probably P. Ray in Chicago. I had her on the show many times. There is a massive conservative movement going on in the city of Chicago right now. And they're not saying we want less police. They're saying we want more police. We want more criminals held accountable. We want more illegal immigrants removed so that housing can be affordable, so that we can have those jobs as American citizens. There are people in Chicago that are 7th and 8th generation African Americans, and their communities were absolutely overrun by illegal immigrants coming in and getting thousands and thousands of dollars of free food and free money from the government. Totally unfair, but Trump is not going to do what he did in his first term. He was very slow to act when it came to riots, burning down buildings. He kept waiting for governors and mayors to handle their own situation. I think he learned his lesson and realized, wait a minute, I guess I'm going to have to be the adult in this situation and go make things happen. So I'll continue to keep you guys updated on all of that. All right, I have some other big stories, but first, 60 seconds from today's sponsor. If you're stressed about back taxes, maybe you missed the April deadline, or your books are a mess. Don't wait. The IRS is cracking down. Penalties add up fast, 5% per month, up to 25% just for not filing. But there's help. Tax Network USA can take the burden off your shoulders and stop the spiral before it gets worse. They've helped thousands of Americans, whether you're an employee or a small business owner or haven't filed in years. Messy books, no problem. They've seen it all. They know exactly what to do and exactly how to clean up your unique tax situation. In fact, they have direct access to powerful IRS programs and experts so that they can negotiate on your side to help you out the most. You'll get a free consultation, and if you qualify, they may even be able to reduce or eliminate what you owe the IRS. More importantly, they'll help protect you from wage garnishment and bank levies. So don't wait for another tax letter from the IRS. Call 800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Gardner to talk to a real expert at Tax Network USA. Take the pressure off. Let Tax Network USA handle your taxes for you. All right. They are a great, great sponsor. Do not get behind with the IRS. President Trump visited the U.S. Park Police Operations Center in Washington, D.C. last night to meet with federal law enforcement officers as part of his administration's aggressive crime crackdown at the nation's capital. Joined by top officials, including Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Interior Secretary Doug Burgum, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, President Trump addressed hundreds of personnel from FBI, DEA, U.S. Marshals, Secret Service, and Metro Police Department. He praised the swift changes under federal oversight, saying D.C. is like a different place, and promised to expand the federal presence. He also pushed for congressional funding to improve infrastructure, from repaving roads and fixing medians to removing graffiti. Some of that graffiti has been there for decades. He wants to do maxed out terms of beauty, or what the young people call look maxing. So Trump pointed to more than 630 arrests since August 11th. 250 of those were undocumented illegal immigrants, and even said he was eager to join the patrol himself. So he went on a patrol ride last night. Still, not everyone is supportive. A portion of the DC Democrats say, we don't want more police. We don't want the help. Now, following this visit, Trump hosted a celebrity dinner at the same headquarters. He personally helped to serve hamburgers and pizza to police and National Guard. And it seemed like everybody was having a pretty good time. I'll just show you some of that right now so that you can get a feel for what it was like.
And I think you brought some food for him, didn't you, President?
So we have great hamburgers cooked by the White House, and we have pizza that I said, don't do it in the White House because we went to a place that makes the best pizza. So we'll concede. But we have a lot of it. So we're going to have some fun. We'll eat, and I'll eat with you, and we're going to have a little fun. We're going to celebrate, but then we're going to get back to work, and we're going to take care of these criminals. We're going to put them where they have to be. We're going to say, don't play around with us. Don't play around with us. So let's go have something to eat. You're going to like the hamburgers? Would you rather have hamburgers from the White House or pizzas from a good place? Huh? I think you want, they want the hamburgers. Have a good time, everybody.
All right. So they celebrated. President Trump loves law enforcement. He's always encouraging them. Under Biden, Border Patrol saw the highest spike in suicide rates because the men and women that wear the uniform on the border were literally told, stand down, allow the invasion of our country. Police have been told, let these criminals back onto the street. It's very, very demoralizing. So he didn't just show up with gourmet burgers and pizza. He showed up with morale, a giant morale boost. Everyone was excited. Then, like he said, let's get back on the streets. Let's make this place safe again. And people were very, very excited about that. All right, let me just show you one more thing, because he also praised the amazing job they've been doing. 35% drop in violent crime, 50% drop in robberies. That's just in 10 days. So Trump encouraged a lighthearted atmosphere, but then said, we got to get back to work. So let me go ahead and show you a little bit more from that. because people were very encouraged to have the president show up.
It's a healthy, attractive looking group of people. Well, I just want to thank everybody very much for being here. I wanted to do this. We've had some incredible results, and results have come out, and it's like a different place. It's like a different city. It's the capital. It's going to be the best in the world. We're going to do what you're doing with law enforcement, and very importantly also, we're going to physically do it. We're going back to Congress for some money, and we're going to redo a lot of the pavement, a lot of the medians, a lot of the graffiti's all coming off real fast. It's going to come down real fast. We're working with Clark Construction.
All right. So he goes on. He gives a speech just about how much has been done since he took office. And again, everybody was, a lot of morale was there. So Trump also posted on Truth Social, writing, "Washington, D.C. is safe again. The crowds are coming back. The spirit is high. Our D.C. National Guard and police are doing a fantastic job. They are out in force and are not playing games. As bad as it sounds to say, there were no murders this week for the first time in memory. Mayor Muriel Bowser must immediately stop giving false and highly inaccurate crime figures, or bad things will happen, including a complete and total federal takeover of the city. Washington, D.C. will be great again." Now, Jesse Waters over on Fox News, he decided to comically roast Washington, D.C. Like only he can. He did a fantastic job. Let me go ahead and bring that up on the screen, and then we will go ahead and watch that together.
Biden could never walk the beat because he couldn't walk. And Kamala never did it because she was afraid of her prosecutor's shadow. I love that Trump's going out there like a general to inspect the troops. Sometimes I go walking through my pod to see my team booking and cutting tape, and I shake their hands and I introduce myself, and they're inspired. I'm inspired. I'm with Greg. This is the best episode of Cops we're ever going to see. I hope he does a field sobriety test on some sloppy drunk kid from Georgetown. I hope someone they arrest and they pull drugs out of their pocket and Trump's like, "That's a lot of crack." I hope he goes out with the Vice Squad and finds Adam Schiff trying to score some dope and some women at some seedy hotel on the wrong side of the tracks.
Women?
Didn't say that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And the media's all worried about them getting heckled. Of course, it's D.C. Any other politician would have astroturfed the station and had a bunch of guys in MAGA hats saying 4 more years. These guys didn't care. They rolled up, they rolled out, and that's fine. They keep saying, the left, even though she's to my right, that crime is down. Okay, homicides hit a 30-year high in 2023 in D.C. So they're down a little bit this last year. In an election year, that's suspicious because they just started juicing the numbers. We just found out they had to suspend a guy for going into the computers at his precinct and downgrading felonies to misdemeanors. Jessica, did you see my show last night?
Yeah, I was glued to the TV.
Good. So you saw the guy who runs the police union in D.C. say that when they get onto a scene and there's a kid with bullet holes all in his abdomen and one of the witnesses won't cooperate because it's gang related, a captain will come onto the scene and say, "You know what? We're not going to call it a shooting. We're just calling it taking an injured guy to the hospital." Or if there's a stick-up, armed robbery, guy's a gun, takes your cash and your phone, they'll come along and say, "You know what? Not armed robbery. We'll just call it a theft. It's a misdemeanor." I wouldn't be surprised if the word went out in an election year last year in D.C. from maybe somebody in the White House, they have to make the crime numbers go down. And I bet it's bigger than just Washington, D.C. I bet the word went out, and that's why you had all these, "Oh, crime's down." Trust me, Jessica, you guys, when we start looking under the hood, you're going to see a bunch of fake numbers.
All right. So he keeps razzing Jessica Tavrov because she's the Democrat on the 5 representing the left. So they like to razz her a lot. We already know that they were lowering crime stats. They were changing felonies to misdemeanors, changing homicides, all in an attempt to make Biden look like a tough president. But in reality, he was the weakest president we've ever had, although he did do a lot of damage. All right. President Trump got a huge win for the MAGA agenda. The Supreme Court is going to allow the Trump administration to cancel $783 million in NIH grants tied to diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Almost $800 million for this stuff. The ruling partially overturned a block issue by U.S. District Judge William Young, who had halted the cuts after lawsuit from health organizations and Democrat state attorney generals. The administration argued that the grants, including projects such as Buddhism and HIV stigma in Thailand, did not align with its policy priorities and framed the dispute as a matter of contract law. Now, why on earth is American taxpayer money going to defeat the stigma of HIV in Thailand? I could see if it was the stigma of HIV in America, but over in Thailand, give me a break. Meanwhile, a federal judge has blocked Florida and the Trump administration from adding new detainees to the controversial Alligator Alcatraz immigration facility in the Everglades, ordering the site to be dismantled and never built again within 60 days. U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams ruled the facility violated the National Environmental Policy Act, which requires environmental review and public input. What? What are we in California where you can't build because you might crush a flower or a frog? Now, opened in July by Governor Ron DeSantis, it holds up to 4,000 people as part of Trump's massive deportation crackdown. The site must now halt construction and remove fencing, generators, and infrastructure within 60 days. The decision came after a lawsuit from environmental groups, including Friends of the Everglade and the Center for Biological Diversity and Muskogee Tribe, who argued the facility threatens the fragile ecosystem and endangered species in the Big Cypress National Preserve. This will most likely go to a higher court, so this story is not over. But as of right now, don't book a trip to Alligator Alcatraz because they won't let you in. But that's not all. Another federal judge has come after the Trump administration ruling that Alina Habba, former attorney of President Trump, has been unlawfully serving as U.S. attorney for the District of New Jersey. They are trying to now have her removed. U.S. District Judge Matthew Braun issued a 77-page decision after defense attorneys challenged her authority in multiple criminal cases, declaring that Habba has no legal power to prosecute. Now, isn't that pathetic? They're trying to get her removed because certain big names in politics were arrested for breaking the law, and now they're trying to cover up their crimes. The ruling is stayed pending appeal, with Attorney General Pam Bondi promising to fight what she denounced as activist judicial attacks. All right, switching gears to international news, U.S. CENTCOM announced yesterday that American forces killed a senior ISIS leader during a raid in northern Syria. The unnamed operative was a key financier responsible for coordinating attacks in Iraq and Syria while maintaining regional networks that threatened U.S. coalitions and the new Syrian government. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper reaffirmed the U.S. commitment to hunting down ISIS operatives, vowing to ensure their permanent defeat and protect new allies. The strike follows last month's operation that eliminated top ISIS figure Dia Zawaba Musla al-Hardani, along with his two sons. Over in Taiwan, they have announced that they will be upping their defense budget in order to come in line with President Trump's request that all NATO nations pay their fair share if they want the United States to back them during a kinetic conflict. So now people are saying that Trump bullied Taiwan into spending more money on war, which is not true. If you're going to be a part of NATO, you have to pay your fair share. It's not fair for U.S. taxpayers to have to pay everybody else's share. All right, that's my update for today. As I know more, I will definitely come on and share more with you. If you could, give this video a like, hit that share button, stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.